first of all, I would like to thank as well for being here and for listening to me. Also, thanks to Pipedrive for having me here today. I think it's the very first time I'm speaking outside the QA community about QA. I've been told that we have only English speakers here, or at least somebody who doesn't speak Portuguese, so I'll proceed in English. That's okay for everybody? Cool then. So a little bit about me, because they say that we have to do that all the time. I have a medical background. Yeah, I was supposed to analyze dead people, but at some point I just decided to go to IT. I'm a huge IKEA lover. I love reading. I love talking even more. That's why I'm here today. And yeah, currently I have the position of head of QA at a Swiss company. I started in QA more or less 2.5 years ago, and I've been doing it so far. And just a little bit before this, I'll try to explain you. I don't know, do we have somebody from QA here? Nobody. Okay, cool. Then I will just explain you a little bit of QA reality. Probably as well as developers, we are facing new tools like every week. And at some point, one manager of mine, he told me, "Hey, Lina, we love your work so far. So please, can you just start test automation with artificial intelligence?" I was like, wow, I've heard about that, but I didn't know that that even exists. So what do you expect me to do? Well, I don't know how that works, but you can go to the conference and then to tell us, and we will just do that. Okay. Then I went to several conferences, like anything that would say AI, I would just buy tickets and go there. And at some point at one conference, there was a guy that was saying like, testing is lacking artificial intelligence. Like AI is everywhere. We need to just do it. And it's really important and it's critical. And like all the testers will be just gone because AI will take their jobs. I was like, okay, cool. Then I want it. Tell me more. And I was like, okay, then these are the pros of the artificial intelligence. These are the cons. And we see it here on Gmail. You probably know when they suggest us what we are writing. And even on advertisement, when we see like a video on YouTube, they suggest us, okay, that I already knew, but how about testing? Well, in his presentation, I didn't hear anything about AI in testing. So I decided to take the ownership, and I approached him after the conference and thought, hey, my name is Lina, I would love to do AI. So how do you do that? What would you suggest me to do? And his answer just blew me away. It's like, well, I don't know, we are not using that currently. Like, okay, thank you. Well, to be fair, I'm not using it still, but I tried several of them for a couple of months. So at least I think that I have a head start here. But yeah, we hear about AI everywhere and about the urge to start to use it. And the thing is, I think that we are lacking a little bit of instructions and understanding what is what and why should we do this right now. So in terms of QA now, we know that the testing is a bottleneck, usually in all projects. We have like a team of devs and they develop everything. And then like when it comes to testing, it's just like you see 2 or 3 people sitting there and clicking buttons like randomly because they cannot just test everything. And yeah, usually that's the reality. But that's because usually the testing is a huge bottleneck. QA teams wait for, let's say, I don't know, an entire sprint of 2-3 weeks. And then like they have one day to test everything that was done during the sprint and usually understand the criteria, define the acceptance criteria. So yeah, I can recognize that in, I don't know, maybe 85% of companies, it's really a bottleneck. And in an agile world, we need to do things fast. And devs, for example, I think they are doing that great because they can be faster and even faster. And then they have like several tools, and then they, with Git and branches and everything, they can be really, really agile. But that is not so true for testing, especially because testing still relies a lot on manual functional testing, and that you cannot just faster a little bit. I don't know, instead of that, your regression pipeline just grows all from time to time. So yeah, you just can't. And manual testing requires a lot of effort. And sure, you can grow your team of testers, but sometimes it's, I don't know, managers would not pay for that, or just will not see the point for doing that. And most of projects are sold like, ready, and nobody thinks about including testing on the scope. So like, yeah, we'll just develop that in 2 months, and in 2 months you will have a solution. But nobody thought that, okay, for those 2 months of development, we will need maybe 2 weeks of testing. And for those who have a great automated test, and that is very cool, but there is a problem as well, because usually automated tests are flaky. So we need to update them constantly, and it's not an easy job, and sometimes it gets a little bit boring, like an element changed and then everything is broken, and then you have like 8 reports saying failed, but actually it's looking good. So that's the problem as well. But the thing is, you cannot just take AI and bring AI to your company and like immediately all problems were gone. That's not true. Why? As I explained there, QA, first of all, they have the knowledge of the business, of the platform, the solution. They know how that works, or at least they are supposed to know. So imagine, for example, if we have, I don't know, imagine that we are testing a calculation, okay? I will say to you that we are testing then 1 minus 2 is equal to -1. What would you say? Test passed or not? Yeah? Okay, cool. I agree with you. But that it's only true if we are testing a calculator. Because if we are testing, for example, 1st of June minus 2 days, that would not be true. Or if we test, for example, Kelvin degrees, that would not be true because we don't have negative Kelvin degrees. So that depends on context. And that's usually what QAs bring to the project as well. It's knowledge of the context as well. So they are like a bridge between BAs and devs. So AI can learn that, yes, but it will need time. It will need somebody to teach it as well. In terms of AI, so how then that works? First of all, I saw that there's a little bit of confusion between the 2 terms. There's the testing with AI and there's testing AI. And what's the difference? Testing with AI, it's what I'll just explain you a little bit later, is how we can use artificial intelligence to test our product. And then you're testing AI, which will be, I don't know, testing bots, for example. So testing the artificial intelligence itself. And in the testing world for the artificial intelligence right now, we have several types of applications. The most common that we can see like in several tools, it's for example, for maintaining test cases or for writing them, and for maintaining test scripts in terms of elements. So for example, if my element changed, the tool will be able to say, no, but okay, it changed the class, for example, but it's still the same element, so that's okay. And of course, there's a lot of advantages that come with this because, for example, element changes. AI will say, okay, good, test passed, it's okay. Then, for example, AI can learn from the production data and then can just use that type of data in our tests. So, because usually test data is like another concern of ours, of QAs. So AI can help us there as well. The maintainability, so if something changes even in our front end, tests will not fail just because. Usually AI tools have a cool thing of playing recourse, so usually it's easy even for non-technical people just to perform tests and check if everything is okay. And ability to learn from user flow. So for example, if I will just perform my testing in an AI machine and say that, okay, this is my usual flow, they'll just learn and understand how frequently I use each flow and what would be, for example, the importance of testing each one. or even, for example, which flow I don't use at all, and maybe just have a low priority for that test. And now I'll explain you. That's really short. I'm sorry for that. So I will explain you right now a little bit more what their tools that actually they can do nowadays. So remember that story that I told you about the conference and boss that asked me? Yeah. So from what I could understand later after researching, reading, and all the conferences, that they were expecting me to just write an algorithm of artificial intelligence to run tests. So nobody was expecting to buy any of these. But yeah, after some research, I found around, I don't know, maybe 20 tools that currently state that they use artificial intelligence. A bunch of others that they say that they use, but I'm afraid that's not quite true. But I brought you here an example of 5 tools that use it like in a more consistent way, and also that are well known in the market currently. So the first one is Testim. Testim is a play and record tool, and it's very cool. For example, if you want to get rid of testers, you just perform your tests as you would do manually, as you would imagine that you are a functional manual QA. You just perform your test from your test plan, and then the machine will say, okay, so that's what you want me to do over and over again. Okay, I will do that monkey test for you, and we'll just reproduce that. The problem here is that, okay, sometimes things change, and for example, depending on data or depending on some type of elements, it can be flaky as well. And then you need to teach the machine, okay, that one is not failed actually, this changed, this is okay to change, this is not okay to change. And currently they introduced even the if logic, for example, the for logic. So you do a record and replay, a regular one, and then you can manually introduce some logic in it. So that's very cool. For example, if you have like different varieties of the platform or something like that. Mabel does pretty much the same. They have also a cool API testing. They have an awesome crawler that will just crawl in all the URLs and check if everything is okay, if the response is okay. But pretty much is that. It's just do, record, replay, and then just over and over again. Then you have a scheduler, and that's for about 18K a year for an account. So it's a lot of money. Then we have this small one. This is for QA touch, and I included here because I found how interesting is our world nowadays. I do remember when I joined IT, everybody was talking about DevOps, and like, DevOps, we need to go for DevOps. And I was like, oh, okay. And like, then I heard like a group of people that were saying, oh, I used to be a QA, but now I'm a DevOps. I was like, oh, I just started as a QA, maybe I shouldn't. And yeah, it's a buzzword, and we live in a world that's just wants a new buzzword each year. So AI was definitely a buzzword last year, and I believe that will be even this year because all the conferences keep talking about that. So what they did is that they took this buzzword and started to sell their solution with it. So they said, we have AI now, so just forget about the others, forget about the competitors. We'll just go and buy because we have AI. It's like, cool. It's a test management tool. Just in case there's somebody that doesn't know, test management tool just allow us to have our test plans and run them and say, okay, manually, and say, oh, that passed, that failed, that passed, that failed. Okay, so then how they have AI there? That's weird. Yeah, I tried, I subscribed to trial, I sent them an email, and I tried it for 15 days. You know what you do? You send it to your Gmail does. It just completes fields. So if you write, open the page and insert login. Okay, yeah, thanks. So yeah, but they say, we have AI now, so please buy. Then we have an Applitools, and Applitools is a very cool platform because they have a lot of different things, and they have also cool courses for testing as well. And they have a solution that is very similar to testing in Mumble as well. But apart from that, they also try to do some plugins. So that's cool because even if you don't want to switch to another automation platform, but you already have one, you can have a plugin from them. And that's, for example, what Catalan did. They just bought a plugin from the Apply tools, and now the Catalan, that is a completely free, 100% free automation tool. We can use, for example, a plugin from Apply tools. And in that case, for example, what it does, it has a smart healer. So for example, if your element changes, imagine that we have a screen and we have a username and a password field, and then we have a purple login button. And then there's like, after several sprints, I don't know, product decides that, okay, we don't want this purple button anymore. Now it will be blue. It will be just, I don't know, here at the bottom of the page. And it will, I don't know, have the name entry. I don't know, something like that. And of course, they've changed that. But actually, nothing changed. Like the color, yes, okay, but usually we don't test that specifically. So what this tool or what this plugin will do is just, they will check all the elements around and decide, for example, if that's still the same element and use it. So it will be the smart healer. So each time that something looks broken, it will heal, and then it will update in the test case and report that. So it will just say, okay. And that's very cool, because there are also another platforms to use, for example, that for visual testing, because there are a lot of companies that depend on that, on visual testing. And there is like really, really critical, because if something changes, it's supposed to be at least found or reported. So that's very cool, because then it can not only to compare the two images, but also to decide whether that's okay or not, because it has its smart healer. But what all of they say is that, okay, if you buy our tool that costs around 18K a year, then you will have AI and you will forget about your problems for good. Well, that's not so true. They claim that, for example, more or less in 8-10 runs, we can teach the system how to recognize what's the correct behavior and what's not. From my experience, it took me a little bit longer. It took me around, I don't know, 15, 20 runs, depending on the tool. And yes, it can heal something, but I don't think that it just still keep updated every time. And I think that sometimes we update not only because the element changed itself, or for example, or the context changed, but sometimes because we have a new feature. So we still need QAs. So I don't believe that just everybody will get rid of QAs and have a machine with artificial intelligence in there, as everybody claims, like we need to start using it, because I don't agree with that. So that was more or less my experience that I had with them. But definitely it helps a lot to just start testing a little bit faster and have more beautified reports with all the screenshots automatically stored in a report with cool dashboards. But yeah, still it's a huge cost for a project usually. And I think that, for example, maybe we will start using that intensively, maybe on a large scale, maybe like in 5 years from now. So yeah, there was no urge on running to all the conferences and try to look for that. And now I know, and I wanted to share that experience with you. Thank you.